All right, let's talk about the fire cards. Let's lead off with Orin.
All right, so Orin is a 2 CP fire backup, Job Guardian, category 10. It has back attack, and when Orin enters the field, choose a forward. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it by your opponent's summons or abilities becomes 0 instead.
Yep. I think so. Back attack is a fantastic keyword, right? And we had it on backups in the past. At first, I was a little skeptic about this card, but I think where this card will shine is Fire Wind.
Yep.
This is searchable by Buddy, and it's not a card named Lulu. The only option you had for Fire was Lulu, and you don't want to be searching a backup Lulu because 4 Lulu is so good. So now we have another backup engine in Fire Wind. Also, it might be a little bit niche, but Fire is one of the better decks to steal turn 1 from your opponent by playing a backup on their turn, just because a lot of their good backups like Geomancer, Moody are 3-cost backups that draw cards. There might be a consideration to play this. I'm okay with it. I think it's a serviceable card. I wouldn't be surprised if it sees some play as a pseudo summon that can also steal your opponent's first turn and can be searchable by Buddy. So I'm okay with this card. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like I'm only playing this in mono fire because fire doesn't have like amazing backups, right? That's my opinion. My problem with Fire Wind, I think it goes in Fire Wind, but I'm not excited about it because that's not the issue that Fire Wind has. Fire Wind already has like really good backup engines with Norsh, and you can even do like Elf into whatever that other wind avalanche is.
Or like Norsh falling into Meath, right?
Yep, exactly. Like you had multiple options. There's another one I can't think of, like Pinello and Devon, right?
Yep.
This one's obviously better than that because this gets but Buddy's just like a better backup than Pinello. But yeah, the effect doesn't excite me. So back attack is obviously good.
I don't know how relevant this is, but the Wind Una can play this from the graveyard because it's a Job Guardian.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
actually,
what?
It can. The Wind
4 CP starter deck Una.
You're right.
ETB, choose a Job Guardian of cost 2 or less from your break zone, play it onto the field. Is one of the ETB modes. The other one being activate all the backups you control.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah. And at damage 5, it does both. So at damage 5, it'll come in untapped.
Huh.
I don't know how relevant that is, but it's there. It's the first backup Job Guardian that Una can play.
No, Lulu and Kimari were options before.
Lulu is 3 CP?
No, 2 CP. Right. There's 2 CPs Lulu's backups.
Okay. My bad.
But again, we didn't want to play any of those, trust. Because we're playing forward Lulu always. You know what? I'm gonna think about that. We can move on, but I'm gonna think about
that. The thing is that like it's Orin's ETB is like it's only good on your opponent's turn, right? Or actually, no, if they have a summon or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
But it's something.
It's a pseudo summon that ramps you up. I think it's serviceable. It's fine.
Yeah.
So next up we have Ayame, 2 CP Job Samurai. It has Brave, and when a Job Samurai or card name Samurai other than Ayame enters the field, Ayame gets plus 4k power until end of turn. And when Ayame attacks, choose a forward opponent controls. If Ayame has 9k power or more, deal it 7k damage, and it starts off as a 5k.
Yeah, I mean, this is a non-contested name in Samurais, so it's pretty good. I could see play in some versions of Monofire that are running like Cyan to ramp, the one that searches the Samurai, because Samurai backups are actually pretty serviceable. for the low cost of 2, having a repeatable big forward that can kill something on attack, it's actually pretty good. I think Samurai players are happy to have this.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have too much to add to this. It's kind of just it's just is a samurai, you know.
Yeah, same.
All right. Next one.
All right, we have a 3 CP Angeal backup, Job Soldier. If a Job Soldier forward you control deals damage to a forward, the damage increases by 2k instead. And when Angeal ETBs, you may pay X. When you do so, search for one Job Soldier forward of cost X and play it onto the field.
So I skimmed over this card until I saw Travis's video with Ghoul, where he mentioned that this gets Cloud Pod in any fire deck.
Yep.
And also is like really good with the 5 CP Zac from last set. So that Zac is now doing, what is it, 12k every time it attacks. And the S ability does 9k to all your opponent's forwards.
Which Zac?
So Zac has an S ability.
Oh, this one, the Opus 20.
Yep, where he deals Opus. Is it 20 or 21? He deals. He deals 7k damage, I think, to all of your opponent's forwards, right?
Oh yeah, the S ability, yeah.
So this Angeal makes him do 9k, which is really good.
Oh shit.
And then the fact that this searches Cloud Pod, this goes more. We've talked about this in the past, you and me, Chris, but I'm almost, because of the Limit Break Zac, I've been considering Cloud as a generic searcher in decks that run Fire and Earth, like 4-color or like Fire and Earth decks. This almost makes me want to run, like, really test that, because this just searches it out of your deck and makes it so that Zac Limit Break does 5k on entry. I don't know. I can't figure it out yet, but I think this backup is way better than I first thought.
Yeah, I really like this card specifically because of that. Actually, you reminded me of it. Is I was actually I haven't built it or like tested it yet, but I was like toying around with the idea of like what 4-color Cloud Pod looks like this set. I know Gula's we didn't actually we like briefly touched about this in the Limit Break video, but Zac being a category 7 card that's 3 CP can be sacrificed by the Opus 11 starter Cloud and can search out Rosa, who can untap Cloud, who can then search a Warrior of Light, right? And even just in general, like being able to search out that Cloud as a general searcher, like you were saying, he can sack himself for each Dola, he can grab, I don't know, the problem is the 4 CP cards in 4-color, like we have a lot of options, but we're not currently playing a lot of them. It's mostly just Rosa and Wall, you know.
That might change, right?
But that can change, yeah, exactly. That's my biggest problem with building around it, is that I have like no fucking clue what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I mean, this is just like I think it's definitely a consideration for your fire backup in like the Claris, Tycoon, Lena decks.
I agree. Pat, what am I searching with this?
I mean, I think Cloud Pod is the easiest answer. I mean, Cloud being 2 CP makes it just so easy to just play it. I don't know if the anniversary box, Zac, is that good with this? I mean, it does 5k as printed whenever an active forward taps.
Oh shit!
But with the anniversary box, with this on the field, it will do 7k per tap. Which gives it like a lot more reach.
Yeah, if you're on Fire Lightning, you would be on the
The thing is, there's so many good
That's
Sacks now.
Yeah.
We're running into the name issue.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Can we search? Is the dual color Sephiroth a soldier?
No,
I think it's a
no.
war hero.
The new ice one is a soldier, but I mean that kind of isn't amazing.
Never mind. Never mind. Disregard.
Yeah. Oh, this is only forwards. Never mind.
I would have 100% played Ice Lightning Sephiroth in like 4-color. I can search it with Cloud Pot and this. Come on.
We can search. Okay, we can search the light cloud, which definitely like I've played that in Ice Lightning, so I don't know if it would see playing Fire Lightning, but like being able to go cloud grab Angel or something. I mean, I guess you could also just wait. No,
Yeah,
this is Angel. Never mind.
it kind of like name clashes with the forward Angel, which was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I would be surprised if I don't see this card. It reads pretty well.
Yeah. All right. Good to move on.
All right. So next we have 6 CP Ject, Job Guardian. The cost to cast Ject is reduced by 1 for each fire character you control. And when Ject ETBs, choose a forward opponent controls. Ject and that forward deal damage equal to their powers to each other. And it is a 9k.
Yeah, this card's busted in Model Fire. I mean, it can be free. And we know that Fire is the best at like spamming characters because of our good friends, the 1 CP goblins. This card's great. It just reads very well. It goes with the theme of Fire, where it seems like they're leaning really hard into play all your backups and everything's going to be cheaper, or we'll do something like Ace, like Illua, now this. So I think this card's fantastic.
Yeah,
Pairs really well with any of the damage increasing abilities like Leftia from Opus 21.
Yep.
Or the fire monsters that do the same thing.
I think also like correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, this goes through Rydia, right?
Oh, because it's forward damage rather than ability damage.
Yeah, it's the same as the Noctis, right?
Yeah. So
I think
Fire has a little bit of problem with dealing with cards like Rydia if it doesn't have what's that name? Kuchaspo in play. So this is another answer to that. It's really good. It honestly, if it's to answer something like Rydia, I don't mind paying like 3 or 4 for this, right? Even like even if it's not free. So I think this card is a winner in my book.
Bro, who's playing Rydia this set? I'm sorry.
Good question.
Rydia is always like the go-to example of like forward that can't be dealt damage. Like, but man, do we have like any other forward that we can start name dropping instead? 05 Ishtola.
Sure.
Makes me sad because I love that Rydia.
I know.
Yeah, this card's just generically like, I don't know. This card's like boring to me because it's just like obviously really good, you know? Like I feel like it doesn't have. I think that implication of like being able to get around stuff that you would normally need Kuchaspel for is actually the like most interesting part about this card to me. But otherwise, it's just, I mean, it's just a free body a free 9k that kills something like. I don't know. That just bores me, but I'm just not a mono fire gamer. I don't know.
4-color player brain rot.
Yeah, dude. I want my free card to draw me a card. All right.
Okay.
All right. Good to move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So next up we have 4 CP Selfie, Category 8. When Selfie ETBs, you can search for 1 Category 8 forward and add it to your hand. And it has an activated ability that is cost 0. Choose a Category 8 forward other than Selfie. Until end of turn, it gets plus 1k power, haste, and brave. And you can only use this ability once per turn on your turn only. And it is a 7k.
Yep. Anything that gives haste is scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can all agree on that. I think this card is hard to evaluate it only until we look at the new Squall. But every line of text in this is great. Definitely, they're pushing for 8 this set as the game of the set. And this card does everything you want to. The only problem, as you'll see in the future, is that it's fire.
Yep.
And everything else is ice or lightning, but we can get around that very easily. So this card, big winner in my book. Haste is insane. So
yeah, I remember when people first saw this card and they're like, "Oh, this grabs Griever, and then you can give Griever hate." Like, no, like this, like this goes in that like FF8 aggro deck that I think if this was revealed very early on. And I think until we saw how strong the FF8 package was, it wasn't like obviously good, you know? Like it was like, oh, well, you know, you can grab a Light Squall, I guess, right? And it's like pretty good, but not like, you know, that deck's still like coping. And then we saw the rest of the FF8 cards and it's like, oh, never mind, this card's like insane.
Which, to be fair, this is really good with Light Squall, by the way.
It is. Not to discount that, but I'm saying like that was like the best thing that the deck was doing.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing also is that the name for this is really good. FF8 has had a lot of cards printed for the other characters, but there haven't been many other selfies that are widely played besides like I guess the backup.
Well, it's specifically for FF8, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you don't lose too much from name clashes, at least.
Yeah.
For playing this.
I agree.
No, absolutely. But Selfie's like just a non-relevant name in the FF8 deck. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just like another layer of searching forwards in that. It gives me FF13 vibes, right? Like you can go is it Adea or Ultimisia? They're like the same character, right? Like Adea for selfie and player and then get another card. Like it's just like it gives me FF13 vibes.
Yep, I think that's the identity that they're going for 8. I think it's closer to FF6. Excuse me. It's closer to FF6 in my opinion than 13.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the identity they're going for. You play cards for free, but those cards also like kind of like search or draw.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not too exciting, as Chris would say, right? But it's very strong, and we've seen that in the very limited testing that we've had.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we move on? We're gonna talk more about FF8 later, so.
Yeah. No, that's fine for now.
All right. This is a card I added because you didn't add this to the list, Emmanuel.
All right, buddy.
All right, we have a 1 CP Foolander. It is a monster, category 7. During your turn, Foolander is also a forward with 4k power. When Foolander attacks, choose a forward opponent controls and deal it 3k damage. And at damage 3, if Foolander deals damage to a forward, it increases by 2k instead.
All right, hear me out. So the only reason... Okay, so obviously in Realm decks, we're searching Goblin if we're searching a Fire 1 CP card, right? But after we finish our Goblin chain, we still need 1 CP cards. Okay. I don't know. I think this is like fine. I don't think this is like... I think we're gonna... I put in Piranha later, which I think is like the more obvious Realm target, and especially Ice Bomb as well. I think this is definitely not like the worst out of the monsters that we've seen. Like I think this is like at least like maybe playable. But that said, Fire does have better 1 CP monsters to be playing.
I think I'm going to echo Ghoul here. I think these monsters are very good.
Yeah.
Probably some of the best monsters we've ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider the fact that we used to have like a 2 CP goblin that, it would turn to a forward on demand, but it would only do 1k when it attacked. This does 3k, maybe 5 at damage 3. Mm-hmm. If you combine it with Leftia, it's 7k. If you combine it with Jin, it's 8k. For a 1 CP, that's actually a pretty good value, to be honest. I don't think it's like even the best or even great of that monster. And even then, it's like this is serviceable. So yeah,
I agree.
I'm happy. I'm happy with
If
these.
we're playing mono fire monsters to play Gal, I'm very happy to play this card.
Absolutely, yeah, for
the,
sure.
The thing is, I don't think this fits into generic mono fire. That's the only reason I'm a little down on it. And if you're playing a like greedy realm deck, you're probably fitting like other stronger monsters into the slot.
Better things to do. Yeah, there's better things to do. But again, serviceable. It's a pseudo. It's a forward that kind of like pseudo protects itself.
Yeah.
So I think just because of that, these monsters are playable, and this one is not terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys covered most of it. It's I do like that this whole cycle is just like dodges sorcery speed removal, which is nice.
Yep.
They all have cool, very on color abilities. And I think they exemplify like what monsters can be in this game. Just from a design standpoint.
So one interesting thing I want to touch on with this cycle, and I want to talk about it more, I guess, with Piranha, so we don't have to talk about it too much here, but I'll just briefly mention it. These can't block. So this is a aggressive monster. And that's Realm is one of those cards that I think like can be played in a lot of different shells, but traditionally a lot of the shells are playing either more mid-rangey value decks or control decks. And I think there's been like I really enjoyed either a set or two ago Tori Kelly's Turbo Realm deck that was like Earth, Fire, Water. And I don't know if that fit in here just because of like deck space, but like it is I feel like if there's a deck that plays this, it's definitely not like a more control-y, grindy deck, right? It's going to be a deck that's playing these types of monsters as evasive removal that kills your opponent.
Yep.
So
that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it more when we get to cards like Ice Bomb and Piranha, but yeah. All right, let's move on then.
All right, we have a 1 CP Machina backup, class Hero Cadet. The cost required to cast Machina is increased by 1 for each forward you control, and it has a 1 CP and Dull and Sacrifice. Choose 1 forward, deal it 7k damage.
I love this card. I think cadets were kind of struggling in the backup department a little bit. Their backups were outdated. The fact that this gets increased by 1 for each forward you control is almost irrelevant. You want this to ramp early. And even if you have a forward, I'm okay paying 2 for this effect. It's 7k on a backup that turns on like my ace and other cards. I think this card's a winner. For a common, this card is like significantly stronger than I would have expected.
Can we search this?
We cannot, unfortunately.
That's like why I'm not a huge fan.
But I think that it's one of those, like, if you're playing fire backups, right, and you run like a bunch of one-off named backups, this is one of the ones that you'll be happy to see early on, right? Because you're paying 1 for it. Late game, whatever, you discard it for your limit breaks. But early on, if I see this turn 1, and I can go like backup, and then turn 2 this into a 3 CP backup that draws, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, one thing that I know we talked about it in the limit break video, but I don't think it like registered. This is a card that is also better because of limit break, isn't it? I mean, every card's better because of limit break, but like specifically this effect, right? Like if you, like the reason that I am not a huge fan of this traditionally is because you draw this like later and it's like, oh, well, I'm not paying fucking 3 or 4 CP for a backup. Like, no, get out of here. It's just a dead draw. You know, even if you have 2 backups, this is a dead draw, right? If you have forwards. But now because of LB, it's not.
Right. It's just
Oh.
I think this card is all upside. I think the downside, quote unquote, of it costing more is irrelevant for what we want to do with this.
Yeah.
Which is cast it early and then ditch our backups for like Montleones or Zach. And early pay 1 for a backup that actually has a very good effect, which is 7k damage. It's also as a cadet, so it triggers a lot of our cadet forwards. I think this is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm convinced actually. Yeah.
So I just did a quick search. There is a searcher on a wind forward. For this,
that's like relevant actually.
It is a wind forward Rem. 2 CP EX. When it ETBs, you can discard a card if you do search for a class 0 cadet.
That's funny because she would make him cost 2.
Yeah, she would increase the cost.
I guess it's kind of fun. Like I never played Type 0, but I do know that Mucking is like the loner, the lone wolf guy, and all of his cards kind of reflect that. So I think it's a
the other
win.
forward one, right? Yeah, I think it's cheaper if you have few forwards.
No forwards. Yeah, if you have no forwards, you cost 3, I think, instead of 5 or something like that. Yeah. So, all right, flavor win for all 3 of you Type 0 fans out there.
I guess Spirit searches it too, but
lol.
Not oh yeah.
All right, Sid. No, Sid.
No, Sid 2. Yeah.
Sid 2, my favorite backup in the game. All right.
All right. Next up, we have Meath, a 2 CP backup. Category FFCC. When Meath ETBs, you can remove 1 backup other than Meath from the game. If you do, draw 2 cards.
I don't have much to say about it. If this wasn't card named Meath, I'd be more excited. The 2 Meaths that we have already are really good, so that's why I'm a little iffy. I like the effect. I don't like the name.
This fits in different decks, though.
I guess.
Actually, well, maybe not. You're playing this in Larkishas decks, and I guess a lot of those are playing other Meaths, aren't they? Like Magissa is playing the other Meath.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That is actually a good point. I didn't actually think about that. I mean, I like that it's like a option to play, like it's like a choice between like this Meath versus the other Meaths in those kinds of decks. But yeah, I mean, I really like this card. Being able to sack your Larkikis after your opponent's played the forward that you stole, right? Like you steal a card named Yuna, and then they play their own Yuna, and now you can safely sack your Larkikis and not worry about giving them their forward back, right? Or just like, I mean, it's a fire card, right? If you have lethal because of like haste or something, playing Meath is like just pure upside, because the only reason that well, actually, I guess he is also a backup, so he replaces the backup that you killed anyways, but just like when you need to dig, you can dig with this card. I think we mentioned before, Eodolis as well is another fire card that like I'm very happy to replay. Yeah, I like this card a lot.
What am I sacking, Pat?
Oh no.
Yeah, I think it's just the same things we heard from when we talked about Mount Leonis, but this time you're not limited to fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can sack her in pair, can't we?
Yeah, you can sack her in pair.
I never thought of that.
Wait, does Rampair say when it enters the, because this is removes from the game, right?
Wait, it says RFG?
It's RFG.
Oh, Rampair is break zone
never
only.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog shit. Never mind. Card sucks.
It's bad, yeah.
Bad.
You can re-Shantoto.
Oh, there we go. Draw 2, you draw into your Shantoto and you play it out, man. Spicy. All right, can we move on to a good card now?
Hey, whoa! This is like my favorite card in the set in Fire. Come on, now.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, it's not. Come on.
This is my favorite card in the set, actually, in Fire.
It's mid-war. It's mid-war.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a 3CP Minwu FFBE. It has an activated ability 0. Choose a card in your break zone. During this turn, you can cast it at any time you can normally cast it, as long as you have no cards in hand. And you can only do this once per turn, only during your turn. And it has an activated ability to dull it, discard 3 cards, deal 10k to all the forwards your opponent controls. And it is 7k.
I'm gonna say right now, this is the most aggressive white mage I've ever seen in my life. Like this bikes your board. This card's great.
Yeah.
Like so good.
It's so good.
The threat 10,000 is a board wipe, and it's one of those, like, it's a 3CP. You have to answer this card. There is no way you let this card live. And we are on fire. We are most likely running goblins, so hasting her is easy. It's super funny that you can do, goblin chain, and on the goblin that hastes, then you can like play her, sack goblin, draw a card, haste her, wipe the board, and then you can replay that goblin with her ability. I love this card. Wow, this is such good design.
Yeah, I think the goblins are the biggest excuse for like I think the main argument against this card is that, oh, well, you're not going to have cards in hand. How are you paying for the cards that you have? If you're this kind of reads like almost like an aggressive card, so you're not going to be playing backups, but then how are you paying for the card? But like you're playing goblins, right? You're playing 1 CP cards that are value. So like, yeah, especially like replaying Haste Goblins, so good.
No, and the goblins also get you a backup. Like they end in the chain ends in a backup, so we're also getting it's really good. I just love this card.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else is 1 CP? Fire card that we can play off this. The Foolander.
No, we're not. All right, I'm gonna get ahead of Pat right here. Pat, are we discarding? No, actually, no. It's a cost. Never mind.
No,
I was gonna say,
Cost, yeah, it's not the
no.
effect. Yeah. If only.
Dude, if only.
Never mind. So, is there anything spicy to do with like that discard? Like, this is the only like Hellbent card
we can feed,
have, right?
We can feed Gilgamesh.
Ooh.
Oh, we can feed Lena Leviathan.
No, we don't. No, okay. I'm done.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what we can like leverage the discard with, but I couldn't really think of anything because it is just a cost.
Yeah.
And the 0 on top of just like reviving things you discarded in the past, I think it serves mostly to just mitigate the fact that you're discarding 3 cards, and then you can still play one of them, basically.
Yeah, this draws you a card every turn, essentially.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it pushes you towards playing backups, which is what Mono Red is trying to do in this set, or some flavors of, at least. So I think that's just cool design.
Yeah, and mini spoilers for the rest of this set in general, not only for Fire, it's trying to get us to play backups from all colors. So this fits that theme where play backups, because then you can pay for the things that she can cast, right? So I do like that it's not limited to Fire though. So maybe there's something else that I'm not seeing. We're thinking of mono Fire, but this doesn't say Fire, right? So we'll see.
So I'm gonna say this like 20 times in our set review. This is another card that's significantly better with LD, because let's say you're playing a fire deck with Brynhildr, right? And you draw Brynhildr, but you don't have like any targets for it. Well, Minu's not going to draw you a card, but now you can discard the Brynhildr for your LB cards, right? You discard it for a Zac, for a Leela, and now your hand's empty. So now you can draw a card off Minwu, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this like 20 times.
That's okay. That's true.
But I feel like it like you have to evaluate all these cards in the context of LB too,
Yeah.
So.
And it's the worst designed white mage ever. It just kills everything. Right.
I'm sure this is like lore accurate or something.
I'm sure someone will say something.
All right. I think this is the last card on fire that we have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have a 1 CP Luartha. When Luartha attacks, choose a forward opponent controls, deal it 5k damage, and has an activate ability to pay a crystal to give it a haste until end of turn. At damage 3, when Luartha enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls and deal it 5k damage, and it is a 3k.
Well, first of all, this has the waifu art, so just that makes it like a 7 out of 10. I will say this has a ton of text for it being a 1 CP forward. That's also like just a rare. I can't really evaluate it. I know Fire is very good at generating crystals because of the samurai backups of the cyan, so maybe the haste is somewhat relevant. The fact that it kind of like can deal 10k to something out of nowhere at damage 3 is pretty good. It's hard to evaluate, but I will say for a 1 CP rare, pretty good.
Yeah, damage 3 if you have a crystal, this thing's nuts, right? But like, I don't know. I'm not a crystal fan, so it is really hard to evaluate. Like like all the text on this is really good. It's just, you know, the cost being a crystal is what makes this like very contingent on the deck that you're throwing it in, you know.
I agree. It's very hard. I can't like evaluate it in a vacuum.
Same.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Same.
Man, I wish we had more to say about this card.
I know it looks so good and that it reads pretty well, but it's like I don't know.
Just yeah.
All right, we can talk about exciting cards now. Now these are exciting.
All right, yeah. Let's move on to ice now.